With a different quarterback, I think that Houston probably would have pulled that game out. You take Dion Lewis out of that game, and Houston wins. I was a little concerned at the end of the game that Houston, was going to cover, but New England pulled it out, which was fantastic due to the $72 million man's 3 interceptions. I mean, guy's awful for a 6'7" quarterback. I can't believe how many balls he gets batted down because his throwing mechanics are so off. So and it's funny that Houston signed him for $72 million after he played 8 games in 2015. It just makes absolutely no sense. And we'll get into the predictions for the Steelers and Patriots and kind of the things that we saw in that game that I think Pittsburgh can expose and hopefully potentially beat New England. But we'll get into the picks exactly what I'm going to prognosticate here in a little bit. And there's always been talk as far as Houston keeping Osweiler next year, or if they should cut him. The problem is that if he stays on the roster, he's going to hit the cap for $19 million. If they let him go, they're going to hit the cap for $25 million. And they're only $25 million above the cap anyway. So it really puts them in a very, very unique position, very bad position, really. And this is the reason why you never sign players out of desperation, and that's precisely what they did. They signed him. They had these delusions of grandeur that he was going to be the next Peyton Manning or whatnot because he played underneath them, and it just simply is not the case. And a little bit later on in the show, we're going to talk about quarterbacks and drafts, and we'll do the Romo watch on where he's going to end up in the next season. So overall, it was a great game, a hell of a lot more competitive than I actually thought it was going to be. But the Texans literally are a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender, and they proved that this past weekend.
Yeah, Brock Osweiler was just awful, and what always perplexes me is how they went out for giving this guy $72 million. He was benched twice. They benched Peyton Manning, took Osweiler, then benched him again, then brought him back, then benched him. So it's like, okay, you've been benched twice because this guy that's 39, that Peyton Manning had the worst statistical year of his career last year, still wanted him playing over Osweiler. And then what I can't understand how is they go and give him this money and didn't even meet him face to face. That, to me, that's more than desperation. When you're able to go out and get a guy that every team wants a franchise quarterback, that's what you see, the Bradys, the Rodgers, the Mannings. You want a guy like that. The Roethlisbergers, a 2-time Super Bowl.
I'm a Steeler homer, I can't help it.
But it causes you to do things like this, and now you said their team is looking at how much salary they're owing him, where they could be looking to use that in multitudes of other fields, and then trying to potentially either get a different quarterback in free agency or trying to draft one.
Yeah, I mean, their smartest move would be to approach Brock and renegotiate the contract, lower the upfront money, maybe do some performance incentives to open up some a little bit more cash flow to sign some additional players or to get another quarterback. I mean, they're already financially invested. They're going to keep him for another. They have to. They have to give him another another season to try to perform.
Yeah, I don't think that I can see them cutting him after next season. And Houston will be a really interesting team to watch next year with a healthy J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and maybe Brock Osweiler finds some kind of mojo over the offseason. But for now, they're getting to play some nice 18 rounds right now.
Well, like I said, I mean, his throwing mechanics are off. He needs to go get a quarterback's coach, and not a quarterback's coach that has, coached Breeze or Manning. Or he needs to go get a separate entity that's never worked with a big name quarterback, and he really needs to work on his throwing style because for a 6'7" quarterback, he has one of the lowest releases I've seen ever in the NFL, which is unfortunate. I think that has a lot to do with that's the reason behind a lot of his errant throws.